Hello viewers, this is an educational video in which we will explain the modalities associated with architectural design of commercial kitchens. This video shall be helpful for the faculty members and students of architecture as well as students and professionals of hospitality industry. In this video, we shall discuss kitchen design basics. Activities are to be performed in the kitchen, types of kitchen layouts, zones of a kitchen, kitchen equipment, and architectural finishes. We wish to clarify that kitchens can be classified into three broad categories: domestic kitchens, where we prepare food for 5 to 20 people for a particular meal. It may be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. In commercial kitchens, for restaurants and dining halls, food is prepared for about 100 to 500 people for a particular meal. And in industrial kitchens, food is prepared for more than 1000 to 5000 people for a particular meal, particularly in religious establishments or industrial establishments. Kitchen is a room or part of a building used for cooking and food preparation. It comprises a stove, a sink with hot and cold running water, a refrigerator or cold storage area, and kitchen cabinets for storage of various articles, utensils, arranged together with storage racks for raw materials and crockery, cutlery. The main function of a kitchen is cooking or preparing food, but it may also be used for food storage, dishwashing, and other related activities. In our earlier studies, we had understood the concept of a golden triangle for the kitchen design, in which three major activities of cooking over the stove or the hearth, the washing of utensils or the wash basin, and the refrigerator, where we usually store the cooked food and raw material. So these three equipments should be located on the apex of an equilateral triangle, preferably equilateral. So we were considering that the kitchen is functional, but this was applicable to domestic kitchens only, and this is not applicable to the commercial kitchens. So we have to get out of the box of this learning and this thinking that kitchen layouts are like this, and we shall be learning a new perspective so far as design of commercial kitchen is concerned. This image indicates a kitchen layout in which all the modern gadgets and equipments are housed, are incorporated in the design, with a central island over which ovens are located. Microwave ovens are also there. However, we have to understand that domestic kitchen scale and commercial kitchen scale is entirely different, because in domestic kitchen we are preparing for food for 10 to 12 people or 10 to 15 people for a meal, whereas in a commercial kitchen we have to prepare food for 100 to 500 people at a time. So there is a great difference so far as the scale is concerned. However, this particular layout of this domestic kitchen is very much suitable for commercial kitchen as well if we enhance the scale, because this central island is a very good feature in this kitchen which serves multi-purposes. We used to design domestic kitchens of size 2.5 meter by 3 meters or 3 meter by 3 meters or maximum 3 meter by 4 meters in residential units. But let us ponder how much should be the size of a commercial kitchen. So size of commercial kitchen depends on the number of people to be catered in the dining hall or in the restaurant. So if we consider that a restaurant has a seating capacity of 100 seats and hall is designed using the standards 1.2 square meter per person or maximum 1.5 square meter per person, so hall size should be either 120 square meter or 150 square meter. So as a rule of thumb, commercial kitchen size should be about 30% of the dining hall area, and in no case it should be lesser than 40 square meter or 50 square meter for a restaurant or dining hall of 100 seating capacity. In this image, we can visually analyze that if this is the total size of the restaurant, then this shaded portion which we have just masked indicating the kitchen is about 30% of the total area. Before we start preparing layouts of commercial kitchen, it would be important to understand what all activities are going to be there in the commercial kitchen. So the activities in a commercial kitchen are washing and cutting of raw material, boiling of stuff like milk, vegetables, rice, grinding and mixing of the stuff, steaming, roasting activity, frying activity, baking activity, grilling activity, garnishing the food stuff, and the serving. When the food has been cooked, it is often portioned before being served. This may require additional and separate work surfaces from the ones used to prepare the food. The finished cooked or uncooked dressed food is then made available for the serving to the customers. What do we see in this picture? We are doing some activities, cutting or chopping of the vegetable and washing it. Water from the source being collected in a large drum. There are so many chambers, containers, seamless flooring. There are diffusers for ventilation purposes, and the material of all these equipment is stainless steel. So we will keep all these aspects in mind while we shall be designing commercial kitchens. Let us start understanding what are the features of a commercial kitchen. We can see in this image there are two doorways. This doorway connects to the restaurant and this is the service entry. If we start with this point, there is a lobby and there is a cabinet. This is the area where all goods received will be kept or stored after quality check. This is the facility for staff for their change with an attached toilet. This point and onward, this is again the storage zone. This is the ventilated dry store in which all dry stuff will be kept under controlled temperature. This may be cooled and ventilated. This is the blast freezer or the deep freezer, and this is crockery store. This point onward, this is basically the kitchen area where all cooking preparation activities will be performed. And we can see we have mixer grinder zone, we have preparation zone, we have washing zone, we have beverage dispenser area, we have cooking area, and in the center we are viewing this red zone, which comprises basically the deep frying facility, ovens and tandoors, stoves for various other cooking activities, and other gadgets which produce heat, and that is why we can see this is the exhaust hood above this zone, and air is sucked and exhausted to the outside. So we can very well understand that this is the general configuration of a typical commercial kitchen, and these are the zones which we have to understood and apply while carrying out design of a commercial kitchen. Understanding of zoning will help us in carrying out architecture design of commercial kitchens judiciously. These are the zones which we must understand and must indicate in our architecture drawings. Storage or stores for dry store, cold store, fuel, workers facility for their toilets, change, washing station for the utensils and crockery, working top, mixing grinding station, steam section, boiling section, saute station, grill station, frying zone, pizza station, salad station, dessert station, beverage zone, serving zone, and waste bins. Let us try to understand commercial kitchen in a better manner through this case study. In this typical restaurant with a kitchen, this area may be considered as front of the house from where entry of guests or the customers is facilitated, and this area may be considered as back or rear of the house from where entry of raw material and staff is facilitated. In good establishments, staff is expected to enter, and there may be some timekeeping or biometric machine kept here, installed here. So a staff is expected to remove their street shoes, street clothes, and they are expected to wear the kitchen slippers, kitchen shoes, safety shoes, and the kitchen clothing which is prescribed. So this may be the toilet facility, and this is their workers change room with the locker facility, and there is a bench. So after preparing themselves to work in the kitchen, they will enter through this door, and this is the common lobby. Size may be about 2.5 by 2.5 meter, and this is the entry to the commercial kitchen. This is manager's room at the central location, who can manage and look after both the activities including kitchen and the restaurant. Though in some of the establishment, kitchen manager is separate than the restaurant manager, and this may be some space allocated for the linen store. So we should consider enough gardening around the restaurant or the dining hall in order to have adequate and good views from the inside. So let us see if what will happen if we zoom this much of the kitchen portion. This is the enlarged view of the same kitchen. We can see this is the doorway connecting the restaurant through that 2.5 by 2.5 meter size lobby, and in this space we envisage frequent movement of waiters and the serving staff, and hence we must keep a provision of about 2.5 by 2.5 meter circulation space here. These are the beverage shelf, the cold storage, and this is the serving station where cooked food is to be kept here or portioned in the appropriate serving bowls, and it is to be dressed. So this is the serving station, and from where the waiter will pick the served dish and serve to the customers. This is the crockery cabinet in which all the cleaned crockery is stored. Provision of under cabinet storage may be there. These are the wash stations. When the meal is over, the serving staff will keep the spoiled plates in these sinks, and this is the waste bin, because lot of waste is generated out of this place. So waste bin, one of the waste bin must be located near to this washing station. This is the dry store which is to be cooled and ventilated, and these are the grated or perforated racks, stainless steel racks, in which dry storage like grains and spices or flour and rice etc. will be kept in significant sufficient quantity. This is the walk-in cold store in which all the stuff which is perishable shall be stored at a lower temperatures, about 4 degrees temperature. And apart from this walk-in cold storage, there is a concept of deep freezer or the blast freezer, in which temperature is maintained minus 20 degree, and in these blast freezers usually the paneer, cheese and the meat or chicken, such type of stuff is stored so that it is not contaminated or perished. This is the boiling station, and these are the circular boilers of stainless steel, and the requirement is that there should be some grating below and provision of drain below, because lot of waste or wastewater is to be generated from these boilers, because these are to be washed periodically. And since they also generate lot of heat, so there must be some provision of exhaust nearby. This is the work counter, and this zone enclosed in this red line, these are the gas stove, frying station or saute station, and in this zone also lot of heat is generated, and hence exhaust hood is provided over this zone, and different one or two exhaust fans are connected through the outlet. This is the utensil wash area, in which large utensils like pans and other saucepans, these items shall be washed, and in this washing station the smaller utensils and crockery will be washed. So this is the oven, and hearth may also, one hearth or tandoor may also be there or may be located in this area. This is the working area. This is the preparation area for cutting and chopping the vegetables or mixing activities. This is also a work counter, can be accessed either side, and people can work by standing here or by standing here. And this is the hanging shelves which is provided above these working space, and in the next slide we will see why these are required. These hanging shelves above the working counter are very much useful, because a lot of pans and other utensils can be just suspended, which makes the working and functioning of staff very much convenient and efficient. Now we will get more insight about floor space requirements and dimensions in order to carry out floor layout of a commercial kitchen. This is the main connecting door with the restaurant side, and it is recommended that a circulation space of 2.4 meter by 2.4 meter or preferably 2.5 by 2.5 meter must be provided here. Then beverage shelves should be placed nearby. Though size of the shelf is 600 deep, but we also require 150 millimeter space from the wall, so we must consider 750 wide, 750 depth for this activity. In nowhere in the commercial kitchen, no aisle or no corridor should be lesser than 1.2 meter wide. However, where the main aisles or the main corridors should be kept 1.5 meter wide, because functioning is envisaged either side. Some service staff may be opening the door and may be carrying some stuff from the beverage shelf, and another staff may be working here, and similar at the same time as another person would like to pass through. So in order to facilitate all three functions, a width of 1.5 millimeter 1.5 meter is highly recommended. All these stations for gas stove, frying, saute station, chapati tawa and dosa plate, these all are minimum 600 wide. And these boilers for boiling the dal or rice or milk, we must allocate 900 by 900 millimeter space, floor space for each boiler. For dry store, minimum width of any store should be 2 meter, preferably it is 2.4 meter, and 1.2 or 1.5 meter wide passageway must be provided in the central spine, and depth of this perforated stainless steel shelf is considered 450 millimeters. Size of walk-in cold storage, minimum should be considered 2 by 2 meters, preferably 2.4 or by 2.4 meters. This wash station width should be considered 600, or if it's a large commercial kitchen, large establishment, then it may go up to 750 millimeters, because in that case bowls or compartments would be of larger size would be required. Crockery shelf depth 450 or 600 is adequate. Then working counter, if a counter is accessible from both the sides, then width 750 millimeters is considered adequate. Preparation area also, width of the counter, if accessible from either side, should be 750, or if it's for single side working, then 600 millimeter would be adequate. And we must also consider different heights for all these different activities. The height of these counters should be minimum 800 millimeter with respect to floor finish level. However, some of the counter may vary by 50 millimeters, working counter 800 high, serving station 900 high, or like that. So presume that some of the dimension and space requirements are clear, and now this information would be surely help you in carrying out architecture design or floor layouts of a commercial kitchen. What was not shown in the previous layout was this gas manifold or the fuel storage station, which is to be planned outside the building in a semi-covered or semi-open area. However, a fencing is to be provided so that area is secured. And while preparing floor layout of a commercial kitchen, we must pay attention and we must consider few aspects like movement of machinery and equipments to the kitchen for the installation or the replacement, movement of staff, cooks, waiters, stewards, captain or manager in the related areas, movement of raw material and fuel after quality check and inventory, movement of finished goods or the cooked food, movement of cutlery, crockery and utensils, movement of garbage, solid waste and sanitation aspects. If we pay attention to all these aspects, I am sure we can work out a very good, efficient commercial kitchen layout. These are few other indicative layouts of a commercial kitchen in which there are two doorways. One is connecting the kitchen to the main restaurant and another is the service entry. Restaurant can be connected from this point, or from this point or this point itself. So it depends on the floor space available or our architectural feasibility design. So however, I would like to mention that there is significant difference in the merits of these two layouts. In this particular layout, size of the commercial kitchen is the same, facility is almost same. However, in this layout, we are getting only this much of workspace which can be worked either side, and in this layout we are getting this much of workspace which can be worked out either side, and this is, in this case, this is just double from the earlier one. So we must avoid such dead corners and we must explore possibility how can we make our kitchen layout more efficient within the given space. This is another case study. This I could get from the internet resources and it seems very functional. This is the entry exit connecting to the main hall or the dining hall, and this is the service entry. This is the common lobby, and dry store, crockery store, cold store and other stores are provided either side. Though there is no facility indicated for the staff change, it may be somewhere else. But the function I really liked because the movement of waiter or the serving staff is limited to this area. They have to pick the dish from the service counter and they have to just pick the beverages if required from the beverage shelf, and they have to keep the used plates and other crockery to this shelf. So in this way their movement is very much restricted, and there are good zoning in this layout indicated. This is the cooking area, this is the preparation area, and this is the washing area. So in this way, this is a very good case study and some lessons can be learned from this layout. This is plan of the central kitchen of a luxury hotel chain, and in this plan we can see that this is the service entry, this is the workers change and locker facility, quite adequate. These are the kitchen store, dry and cold store, and this is the airlock, and this is the main kitchen where food is cooked, and the size of this kitchen is about 129 square meter, so maybe 15 by 8 meters, and separate food dressing and dish handling area is provided. And attached to this is the service room, and this side is their main restaurant, and through this service lift and the stairways food can be served for the room service to the upper floors. These are a few images indicating how should we plan workers' locker facility together with a bench and the change rooms. Mouth-watering yummy food? No. You are not allowed to have it until you prepare a list of all equipments and utensils which have been used in the preparation of these items. Yes, I am not joking. I am requesting you to prepare a list of all equipments and utensils which are used in the preparation of these dishes. Presume you have started preparing a list of equipments and utensils. Those are used in the preparation of those mouth-watering and yummy food items. Actually, whenever in my classrooms and in other educational sessions, I ask the participants to do that. So participants could prepare a list of 8, 10, 12, 15 items, which was not adequate. But the purpose is to educate them. So you may please prepare a list and enlist as many as you remember or can envisage. We will surely tell you more about these equipments. Now you may please compare the list prepared by you with the items enlisted here on this slide. I will not speak much on this slide, but giving you an opportunity to please compare and learn more from the contents of this slide. Similarly, few kitchen items are mentioned on this slide, and you may like to study further all such items through internet resources. Whenever you start preparing floor layout of a commercial kitchen, please keep the list of equipments handy with you and indicate on the floor plan by considering appropriate floor space or the counter space required for every equipment, similarly as it is mentioned on this slide. Kitchen equipments can be classified in different categories like storage equipments, preparation equipments, cooking equipments or cooking ranges, heating stoves and gadgets, refrigeration machines, dispensing machines, bakery equipments, bins and trolleys, washing equipments and ventilation equipments. In this picture, we are viewing steamers and boilers. These stainless steel jacketed boilers are usually operated through electricity, and these are of tilting type. There is an outlet at the bottom. Raw stuff can be poured at the top, and this is the mouth. And we can see there is a provision of stainless steel grating nearby, over which we can put another container, and boiled stuff can be poured by tilting the boiler and aligning the outlet mouth to that particular container. And provision of grating or the drain beneath is very much required, because this has to be washed and there are always chances of spilling the stuff. So in order to maintain cleanliness and hygiene, adequate provision of drains must be there in the kitchen. Those are topped with stainless steel or iron grating. In this image, we are viewing the blast freezer, and we had discussed that blast freezer is the freezer which maintains the temperature about -20 degrees inside, and in which all meat product and milk products are kept. And this is the walk-in cold storage in which a person can just walk in and there are shelves or storage space either side. So these size of this walk-in cooler, walk-in cold storage may be 2 by 2 meters or 2.4 by 2.4 meters, or these may be having one door, or these may be of having multiple chambers adjacent. These images indicates the way in which dry stuff and wet stuff is stored in commercial kitchens, and it is stored in a very tidy manner, in a very systematic manner, and a FIFO system is observed, first in first out. This image indicates the arrangement of cold store in which beverages can be stored and can be kept cold. This is the walk-in cold storage, and this is the inside view of a functional walk-in cold storage. In dry ventilated stores or in walk-in cold stores, either shelf of stainless steel or painted iron are kept inside, and all the stuff is put in a systematic manner over these shelves, and depending on the daily demand, the person obtains requisite material which is approved by the kitchen manager from the store and compile over a trolley, and then this trolley is brought to the kitchen for further processing. Through these images, we can gather more idea on how should we plan storage in our commercial kitchens. It is observed that architecture students do not pay much attention towards the crockery storage, but this is also an important aspect of commercial kitchen planning, because for an example, if we consider in a restaurant the seating capacity is 100, so it's not like the case that they will have to keep 100 plates, 100 cups, 100 spoons, but they will procure in double or triple quantities, because all such material is fragile and any plate or any cup or a set of cups may be broken at any point of time. So in order to maintain the harmony and in order to maintain the similar set for longer periods, they have to procure and obtain twice or thrice with comparison to the seating capacity of every item. So for a seating capacity restaurant of 100 capacity, we may assume that they need to store minimum 200 plates, 200 large dining plates, 200 quarter plates, 200 cups, 200 soup bowls. So how much space is required to store all such stuff? And we can see that crockery is stored in such baskets and in such racks. So we must pay attention to this requirement, and crockery storage of adequate size should be planned in the commercial kitchen. A crockery store of about 2 meter by 2.5 meter may be adequate, provided we have envisaged all good shelving detailing inside the crockery store. Now very briefly we will have an overview of the equipments used in commercial kitchens, like pot range, cooking range 2 burner, cooking range 3 burner, and Chinese range, then electric cooking range, chapati plate cum puffer, dosa plate, chapati puffer, deep fat fryer, gas tandoor, electric tandoor, rice boiler, tilting boiler, idli plant, steam cooking plant, potato chip slicer, potato peeler, wet grinder, vegetable cutter, meat mincer, dry grinder, food processor, chicken cutter, baking ovens, bread slicer, spiral mixer, dough kneader, KitchenAid, beater, dough divider, dough sheeter, electric deck ovens, barbecues, sandwich griller, deep fat fryers, commercial toasters, pop-up toasters, conveyor toasters, corn steamer, idli steamer, hot plates, thermal jar, soup station, water boiler. Apart from these, we have variety of ovens which are to be used for different purposes. It's not necessary that in a commercial kitchen all type of models or ovens are procured. Oven may be one or two only depending on the purpose. And apart from these, soiled dish landing table where all the used plates and crockery is put and waste is collected. Then pot wash sink, single sink, double sink, triple sink units are there. Then working tables are there, and worktop cabinets are there, wall hanging cabinets are there, and there are stainless steel pot racks which are to be used in the kitchens. In trolleys category, we have utility trolleys, platform trolleys, open tray trolleys, and Bain Marie trolleys, tea snacks trolley, housekeeping trolleys, cylindrical linen trolley, and room service trolley, restaurant cart, and hot cases. This is the image of a typical washing station in the commercial kitchen. In the very first compartment, all the used utensils are kept and their solid waste is removed, and then they are washed by dipping into this large chamber, and they are further processed to the next chamber where relatively clean water is available, and they are washed again, and at the third instance they are brought out from the water, they are wiped out and then dried for further use. These pressure jets of hot and cold water are also used in cleaning of the kitchen utensils and trays. This is another view of a washing station in which all the used utensils are kept in the very first compartment. Then this is in the large compartment, this is soap water. All the utensils are to be dipped and cleaned in this soap water. Then these two chambers are filled with clean water. After proper cleaning in the soap water, the utensil is to be again dipped in the clean water, and after rinsing here, then utensil is again dipped in the clean water, and then it is brought out for further drying and wiping out. And in this image, we are viewing that there are trays in which crockery is arranged, which is already cleaned but it is to be dried, and out of this chamber we are getting hot air blows from the top, and the crockery will be cleaned and then tray will be passed out for further storage. In this image of crockery station, we can very well understand that first of all used or spoiled crockery is to be kept here and solid waste is to be removed from the plates into the dustbin. Then it is to be dipped into the soap water and it is to be cleaned by this pressure jet, and after cleaning then it has to be arranged in this tray properly, and we will get the hot air blows from the top, it will be dried, and the entire tray will be passed to the next table, and from where it is used or stored further. Cleaning and maintenance of commercial kitchens in itself is a Herculean task which require a lot of efforts, and all the establishments, they devise their standard operating procedures, and cleaning has to happen in a 3-tier system. For some of the activities, for some of the instruments, cleaning has to be happen daily basis. Some cleaning has to happen weekly basis, and deep cleaning has to be there every month or every quarterly, depending on the nature of the food prepared and requirements of cleaning. For the deep cleaning of commercial kitchens, only detergent powder or phenyl is not adequate, but cleaning is done using steam jets with a temperature of 123 degrees centigrade, and this is one of the reason why we observe every stuff or equipments used in the kitchen is made of stainless steel grade 304 or higher. Deep cleaning in kitchens using steam jet has two advantages. The first one is that it helps in removing all the stains and deposits of fats on the surfaces, and second one, it helps in killing all the microorganisms that intends or tries to develop on the surfaces or in the corners of equipments and utensils. Kitchen is a place where hazards are always associated. One may slip down, one may be exposed to fire, or one may encounter any explosion. So we have to be very meticulous and careful in our approach while we are selecting finishes, while we are deciding the width of the corridors, or we are deciding the floor finishes. Whenever you are planning a commercial kitchen layout, plan it very meticulously and detail out to the greater extent. Try to indicate all the equipments and assign them a number. Prepare a legend. And whenever you have to join it with the dining hall or the restaurant, so always keep a buffer zone of 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter. It really helps a lot in convenience to the service staff, and also you get more flexibility so far as joining of different blocks of kitchen and the restaurant is concerned. Though the text on this image is not legible, however, it conveys us a very clear idea that how clearly the designer has planned all the equipments in the kitchen area, and I'm sure that designer has also paid due attention to the zoning, and we can see that every equipment is assigned a number, and presume there are more than 50 or 60 equipments enlisted and indicated in the architectural drawing. So expectation from each one of you is that whenever you shall be planning a kitchen, you shall be working out the details to this extent, and unless you are clear that how many activities are going to be there in the kitchen, what all are the equipments are to be engaged for various activities, so you can't work out a functional kitchen layout. So please gather more understanding about all the zones, all the activities are to be performed in the kitchen. Try to gather more information about the equipments from various market surveys and literature or brochures of various kitchen equipment manufacturers. It will really help you a lot in understanding of various equipments, their functions, their sizes and their requirements for on floor, like electric power point, like drainage points. I would also like to touch upon the ventilation aspects in the commercial kitchen. We had discussed that an exhaust hood is to be provided over the deep frying station, the burners, the stoves or the hearth, where significant amount of heat is generated, and this heat is to be sucked and exhausted to the outside of the building. This is the indicative diagram of a ventilation system in the kitchen. So we can see this is the hood, and these are the detachable filters through which the air is sucked and exhausted, and this is the inlet for fresh air, and this is discharged to the sides. We can see in this image that this is the exhaust hood and this is the suction point and through which the air will be sucked, and this is the discharge point of fresh air inlet. Now we will discuss architectural finishes to be used in the commercial kitchens. On walls, the finish should be like which is easy to clean. Provide stainless steel finish. Behind ovens, grills, fryers and any other equipment that emits high level of heat and fat vapors. Provide ceramic tiles, stainless steel or FRP panels throughout the kitchen. If budget is a constraint, then provide FRP in wet areas and use semi-gloss paint throughout remaining areas. Flooring of commercial kitchen should also fulfill certain criteria. It should be resistant to acidic and caustic foods and stains. It should be resistant to melting under high temperatures. It should be able to withstand against industrial degreasers and sanitizers. It should be able to withstand against high pressure hose and steam cleaning. It should be flexible enough to create a proper slope to drain and integral cove base. It should be customizable and slip resistant. It should exhibit high tolerance of prevailing moisture or wet conditions. It should be formaldehyde and solvent free and should turn completely inert after full curing of the application. It should be antimicrobial, possessing fungi, static and bacteriostatic properties. It should be impervious and non-absorbing of food or cooking odors. It should be free of unsightly porous grout lines that can hold water or harbor microbes. Ideally, it should be seamless and monolithic surface that deters germs. For sealing, we should choose a material which is easy to clean, can be wiped and is not affected by mild acids and alkalis. We may provide stainless steel finish behind ovens, grills, fryers and any other equipment that emit high level of heat and fat vapors. If budget is a consideration, then we may provide FRP in wet areas and use semi-gloss paint throughout remaining areas. Flooring should be non-slip anti-skid. It should be thermal resistant. It should be in a position to offer coves at the edges or the junctions or in the corners so that there is no microbial growth. It should be smooth, easily cleanable, non-absorbent and durable. Examples are quarry tiles, non-slip sheet vinyl. In this image we can see that everything is made of stainless steel except the flooring which is of tiles and grouted with epoxy or vinyl grouts, and there is a provision of drain at the center over which stainless steel grating is provided because everything has to be washed daily on daily basis. So in a kitchen we also should be able to work out the proper drainage system, particularly from those points where water taps are provided and we envisage likelihood of any spilling and washing activity periodically or on frequent basis. I am sure that you have got sufficient inputs and insight on architectural design of commercial kitchens through this video. However, please explore kitchen equipments manufacturers' brochures for more information on the topic. Thank you so much.